Good afternoon. Ryan Smith here, elite instructor and head coach of the National Player Development Program at the Sea Island Golf Performance Center in beautiful St. Simons Island, Georgia. And I'm going to be running through a case study with one of my D1 athletes who came down struggling with low point control issues and centerness of contact issues. So, we actually captured this player's data in our gears bay, and then I decided that the swing catalyst bay would be where we would make the most improvements. So this player is going to sway his rib cage and pelvis, quite a bit. He's going to move quite a bit of mass to the right or away from the target. He's also going to thrust his pelvis away from the ball, both down and away from the ball. Then he can't load his trail hip as effectively as we would want, so he moves his mass up and out on his toes. This causes him to get steep, and then he has some heel strikes, some toe strikes, and some low point issues. So, there's a couple things that we did. When we got him on the plate, the first thing that I did was addressed his balance and his posture and his stance width. So you can see here his posture looks pretty good, but he's got a lot of weight and pressure out on his toes, specifically that lead foot. Also, with a 22-inch wide stance with a 7-iron, I thought that because the base of his spine was sitting too far behind the top of his spine, he was leaning his chest forward, and that was putting a lot of that pressure into the lead foot. So we took his shoes off. We narrowed his stance from 22 inches to 16 inches. This was able to get his pelvis a little bit more balanced underneath the center of his rib cage, but more importantly, it just improved his balance from toe to heel and from side to side. So there's a couple of things that happened when we did just the balance, but the main cue for him was to keep the left big toe digging into the ground, into the backswing for as long as he could. And what that did was a couple of things. Number one, it reduced the pelvis sway away from the target line or away from the ball. It got him to load into that right hip a little bit more efficiently. It created some more balance in transition, which allowed him to shallow the club a little bit better, which improved his centerness of contact as well as his low point. And when you look at it from face on, keeping the left toe dug into the ground in the backswing allowed him to move the pressure to his trail foot, but not the mass. This really helped him with his low point. So his low point started at about 1.5 to 2.5 inches in front of the ball, and every time he hit it with his shoes off, it was 4.5 to 6 inches in front of the ball, which I think tour average is about 4.5. So big improvements. And the great thing about this is, with Swing Catalyst, it gave us some really simple cues for this young man to walk away with. So once we got his balance and his posture organized, and we settled on about a 17-inch stance width, he was able to tape off some of his alignment sticks at about 17 inches. So he could put that down on the ground and practice the same stance width day in and day out. It also allowed him some real-time feedback on the difference between pressure and mass. So he thought that to load to the right, he had to move his whole body to the right. When in doubt, he felt like he was not moving anything to the right, and we can see here he's moving, upwards of 78% of his pressure into that trail foot. So he got some better understanding of some key differences of pressure and mass. He got some really simple cues in terms of, getting more balanced and keeping that left big toe in the ground. But it was real time, it was great feedback, and it was a really fun lesson. So hopefully everybody learned something. I know I had a lot of fun doing these, and I appreciate Swing Catalyst for the initiative and the support. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you.